Hello and welcome to this video brought to you by the Lewis Art. My name is Emmanuel Okafo and I hope you guys are doing well. In this video, I will be showing you guys my technique for creating fabric of this nature. So this will be a very fun and intuitive tutorial. We'll be looking at lots of really beginner friendly but yet advanced and helpful tips that you'll be needing inside Blender. So let's get started. There is a starter file which the link will be in the description. If you're interested in it and you want to follow along with this tutorial, you can download the file. It's gonna send you to our Discord, and in the channel tutorial you can go ahead and download it from there. Yeah, so let's get started. This is the scene we have. If we go to the render preview, we can see it's just a very simple room with two nice fishes, which I got from this gracious site. It's called the open3dmodel.com. I think probably 90%, 95% of the models here are basically free. Yeah, so let's get started. So the steps for this will be simulating the cloth, and also we will be creating I'll just move this out. So simulating the cloth, and I'll be showing you a very nice cloth technique that improves the realism of your cloth, and then we do the shading, and then we do some geometry nodes to enhance the final result. Okay, so starting with, let's create the fabric. So we'll just add a simple plane. Before we do that, let me turn on the screencast key so you guys can follow along. I find that sometimes I get carried away and just keep using my old shortcuts without calling that out. Okay, so you can follow along with my shortcuts, especially if I move too fast. Okay, so we have a plane. What we want to do now is to subdivide this plane a bit, just to give it some stuff to do, used for simulating. Good job. Once it's we subdivide it, we want to go to the physics tab and add cloth. So we're going to switch the model from angular to linear, and linear gives a more realistic cloth. Like if you're looking for more like fabric simulation, using the linear will give you a very good result. The way I would describe the angular is it's closer to a soft body physics like result, though it does simulate cloth, but a more what's this material, stiffer cloth. But for this we want something more like fabric. So we select that. I have also enabled collision for the table. One thing I did was reduce the thickness outer to 0, basically the lowest value. It can go lower than that, and the reason for that is that this usually determines kind of the distance of the collision. If we have it high, it's gonna affect it quickly, so I want the cloth to really sit on the table. Okay, what next? Let's go to the timeline. We ensure that the sync playback frame is set to play every frame. We want to use collision, so we'll set the collision quality to about, let's say, 8. It's a one-time simulation, so we can get the best result. We also want to use self collision, so the cloth interacts with itself. We'll set the distance to 0. I find that actually makes it more useful in most situations. Also the cloth quality, I'm also gonna increase it to 9, and I think that's all the settings we'll need. We can go ahead and press play. It seems we probably could subdivide this one more time. Let's scale it in. So importantly, when you do stuff like this, you always want to go to object, apply, scale. I have this cool add-on that kind of tells me when that is not done yet. If you want it, let me know in the comment, then I'll put it out for you guys. Okay, so we'll probably want to scale it on the X. Okay, so I'm happy with this. It looks decent enough, so we can go ahead and apply this cloth simulation as a mesh. So we can go to edit mode and we can see what we have. Also, let's go to object and shade smooth, and then we can switch to sculpt mode, and if we hold down shift we can smooth out those regions that probably need some cleaning. Okay, so we got a very decent result out of the box. Yeah, so we need to apply the scale again, and now we can go ahead and UV unwrap it. So we can just do U and minimum stretch. This is the latest algorithm for UV unwrapping, and it does a very good job in ensuring that it doesn't that the texture doesn't stretch. Usually you'd want to like make this great, but to get the best, I mean, the algorithm is not wrong, so we go with it. Yeah, so I like this result. We can bring back the rest of our scene and let's see how it's looking. So we have our camera view set up. We can probably show off some of the cloth when we render it. Probably raise this up. Okay, so next we want to create like a nice return. Some clothes, most clothes, you'd never see them have this very sharp edge, or at least without like real fold at the end, except like it's torn or just untreated fabric. But for a linen like this, maybe it's for sure intentionally placed there, so the owner purchased it. So we want to add some of those nice realistic details. So let's get the solidify. So what we want to do with this is check for it to use the OLED realm, okay, and then we can reduce it. Next we'll duplicate this, and now we can extrude this upwards, so we can see the effect is creating a nice return. You can put like a nice stitch in here, in and out. So we can even push this further by creating some protrusion to kind of show where the stitch will go. So for that we can add let's say 2 edge loops here, add 2 edge loops here. So we will just model to match the camera. Next we'll select this edge loops here and add them to a vertex group. Next we'll duplicate this solidify and select the vertex group we created, and we'll push this backwards, extrude the face we need, and there we go. We have a very nice cloth, and you can always go in and adjust it. Okay, so once you have it looking like this, we're halfway there. Next we can start adding the shader. So let's go to our shader editor. Yours might look different. Before we do that, let's enable the screencast key on this window, because I found earlier in my previous recording that sometimes it will not appear. Okay, so we're good. We'll go to camera view. So let's create a new material. We can call this cloth fabulous. Okay, we go to render, and I will just disable my compositor for now. So we'll start first by reducing the color to black. Do you already use color? I don't know. Next we want to add some fabric details with textures, so like some nice folds. So I've created some textures that will also ship with the pack or the starter file. So these are textures that we can use to kind of create this fabric, and the way they were created is pretty easy actually. So I downloaded these nice folds from Google, and you can come here in Photoshop, we unlock that, go to filter, 3D bump. If you get this message, that means you need to go to your preference and performance. You want to check to enable this. Let's see what the advanced setting holds. Let's do normal. Okay, so once you do that, we can now come to filter, bump. So this will help you convert any image you kind of put through to it into a nice bump map. So once you have done this, you want to also ensure that the image is seamless. So you do that by filter, other, and offset. As we can see, this is definitely not seamless. A quick treatment you can give for it is use the lasso tool to kind of draw, and you can use the content aware fill to just go in and address it. So I'm not gonna repeat it, but you wanna do it for several times. If you fix this one, you want to check it again, you will still see that some parts needs to be fixed. So you just kind of whack-a-mole till you're happy. One thing you'll find is if we offset this, for when you get to this part where you're just seeing like small issues, you want to ensure just select that region, shift backspace. So now we should see less of that. So it's just going in and cleaning it. It will give you a nice texture to use. So let's bring in the texture, and we'll be using this as a normal. So let's do vector and bump. So you might not see anything, especially if you're using Blender 4.5, the latest version. That's because we need to adjust the settings, the distance, and the filter width. If I'm not wrong, I think this is like a blurring amount. So the higher the value, it will blur the bump some more. Definitely handy. So the lower the value, the crisper the bump will be. If you want some blurring, this does it. So we just want to introduce some nice bumps. So we could go in and sculpt it, but you might not get it, or if you might try to simulate it. But I mean, anything that kind of does it for you, that's your business. Yeah, so we just want to give an illusion of more detail. Probably 1 or 2. Okay, so maybe 2 is good. Next, we're gonna introduce another. So this is also from, it's gonna be in the pack. So I want to introduce some more wrinkles, like final wrinkles. Sorry I didn't present this, but this is what the reference I'm working off. So this has a lot of character, so it looks used, it looks fluffy, so you get nice crinkles there, you have nice folds, it really feels like it's nice fabric. So that's what we're trying to recreate. So we'll connect another bump there, and if we check this out, so for this we'll need like higher value, like more tiling. We could even try to mess with the UV some more. Let's see. Gonna try something, probably not a smart idea, but let's see. Matte, and Let's do convert. I'm gonna use noise. So we distort the texture slightly. We'll distort the UV map. Maybe we do it at this point. I mean, anyways, we'll still need that later for later, but let's see what we're getting in the bump. So for this, we don't need the strength to be strong, just slightly. And we can play with this to get like a decent result. Okay, so this is how it's looking. For the next step, we want to go ahead and bring in the patterns. So for that, we're also going to use the texture. I don't think I'll be providing this one. It's these patterns are easy things you can find on Google. So what pattern will we use? Let's go with this. So we'll set this to like, let's start with 200 to really tile it. And we'll rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, what we want to add now, the kind of patterns are quite evenly distributed. So we want to introduce some randomness. So we kind of saw a preview of how we could do that. So it's basically using the vector matte and a nice texture. So if you increase it, we can kind of mess up some parts to introduce that nice randomness. So let's do like 20. So it's not like perfect all over. Okay, so I'm happy with this, and we can move on to the next step. So it's coming together nicely. What we want to do next is to create an alpha, because right now it's just a solid mesh, but cloth you tend to see through them, at least in most fabric, especially cotton fabric. So that applies to the fabric we're creating. So for that, we'll use like a color ramp and push the white here so that we get a very strong opacity. It's not really gonna help when we connect it to the alpha, you see. If I isolate this and put like a white ball, let's give it like a red color. So it's too see-through, that it could influence the texture of the fabric. Is going to make it feel so thin, which is not what I'm going for. So I want it to be transparent but still have that fluffy thickness. So for that, okay, so for that we just add like the mix color, and we'll mix it with layer weight, the facing. So the layer weight will be the factor, and we'll set the color B to completely white. For the blend, we'll use 0.95. So what we get now is like certain parts that are totally opaque, like you can see through, but if you start going to corners, you start seeing through them, giving that nice illusion of fabric. So if you want to it to kind of show through, you reduce the blend. So let's do 0.3. Okay, so that's the base setup for like just kind of getting it started. Next we can create the sheen effect. I mean it for an interior scene. Okay. So for something like this, maybe if you feel this is still transparent, you can just set this to like 6. So this is totally white. It's fine, it works. Okay, for the sheen effect, we can introduce some sheen with this. So if we have a more, like let's say red color, which is gonna be the final one, I could just sample from the image. Okay, and for the sheen weight, we want just little of it, just barely, because it's an interior scene, so it should not be very pronounced, and we want to tighten the roughness. So if we look to our camera, you can see it's coming together nicely. Feels like a nice fabric. So usually you would not want a lot of specularity with that. So I'm reducing the softness, the roughness, sorry. Let's see. So like something like this is good. So the more rough it is, the more softer it feel. Sometimes I go crazy, and I mean it's pretty standard of using the SSS to kind of create this, but yeah. Okay, so once we have this, what we want to do next is add some variation with the color. Uh, so we can also use a color ramp. And one thing you can always do with a node is like reset it instead of adding like new nodes. So we can bring in a simple noise texture. Let's try magic this time and use it as factor. So we'll scale it. And now we can add some color variations. And that's what we'll use as the color. So we can bring this up, and let's say if we give it so that it just doesn't feel totally right, because most times you never get like clean colors in nature. Always some sort of variation. I might actually just end up using noise for this. 500. Okay. So this is looking good, and now we can proceed. So give it a test render. So this is our result. If we can give it a closer look, we can see it's looking pretty good. I probably would want the stitching to be the patterns to be bigger. I mean this is okay, but I want less of it. Okay, so let's implement that. So for this pattern, let's do 150, and for this stuff here, we'll probably need just 1.3, and we'll give it another render. So the rendering is done, and that's looking coming together nicely. Okay, so we can move on to the stage of geometry nodes. Probably leave this as 200. Okay, for the geometry nodes, so we want to add a new modifier, new geometry node modifier, and put this above all the other nodes. And here in the node, we can switch from the shader node to geometry nodes. We also want to select the base, and we probably don't need this since it's hidden, but then we want to mark all of these as sharp. Okay, and then let's come here, we'll add delete. So the process is going to be very if you're usually intimidated by geometry node, don't worry, this is very chill. So when we add the delete node, we want to add name attribute, and we select the sharp edge which we just selected. If we mute this, you can see there's something happening here. What's happening is we are deleting those edge we mark as sharp. So, but what we want the inverse of that. So we'll get the color ramp. We'll just search for ramp, and let's invert that. So we can mark this as sharp, and so every edge you mark as sharp will be kind of isolated into this. So that's looking good. Now we can we need to convert this line to like a curve. So let's do mesh to curve. And the reason we are doing this is because we want to resample it and ensure that it has even points going across. So now what this does is that like if we apply this, we'll have 10 points and they'll be evenly spaced out. Okay, so this helps us kind of make sure everything is evenly spaced out, and this will be our control for how much phrase we'll be getting. So now we'll do instance on point. So we are going to instance on every point. It created a new like line curve. So let's add a line. So we can do mesh line, and we'll use this as an instance. And you can see we have some edge going all the way to heaven. So let's set this to 2 to reduce the length of that. And what we'll also do is here in the scale we can set this to like 0.1, but a better way to control it is to use a value node, and we can scale it uniformly. So let's see how it's looking with our cloth. So we get like a join geometry node and connect it. So as you can see, what we're creating, it's evenly spaced out and looking nice. So next we want to kind of make it feel like messed up fray hair, messed up fabric coming out of the cloth. To do that, we want to kind of control the rotation to create random rotations. So let's bring out an aligned rotation node, and for the vector we're going to use curve tangent. And the reason we're using curve tangent is because um, the this stuff we extracted here is now a curve, and we want it to consider the curve tangent of this curve when controlling the rotation of each of those um, instance lines. So we set this to y, and let's delete this. So now it's using the curve tangent. We can come here and do copy. We can do rotation instance, and we'll just add like a random. So now it's gonna randomize the rotation of each instance along the tangent of the curve, which is what we want. So let's control that better. So set this to 1.5. So just a little bit of randomness. So maybe this is too long, so we can reduce the length. There's just tiny bit of cloth hair coming out. So you can always control it later. Let's say if you don't need certain part to have the fray, you can always like not mark as sharp, and it will take it out the consideration. Okay, so also if you want to increase the count of the, and increase this value, and it will increase that. If you're happy with this, I mean, we can do more, like adding noise, because this is technically, at least this free hair are technically curves, which you can use the Blender Essential Hair Deformation to mess around with. So we're not going to do it for this, but I will show you how you could do it if you want to do that. So first of all, we want to mesh to curve. Okay, and importantly, you want to realize it. You want to make it real now, so it's not instance. Now this node will be able to add effects on it, have effect on it. So we can do like subdivide curve, so we can add more points, preserve length, and we can use this to get like random phrase at the bottom. And all of this is procedural, so if you grab this, if you move it, it's moving with your stuff. Okay, so let's make it actual geometry. To do that, you want to do curve to mesh. Okay, and then circle. Oh, I forgot the one rule. You have to disable everything. Okay, we survived. Blender didn't crash. So let's add the curve to mesh. No, sorry, we want to add the circle. Curve. So we'll reduce the resolution to like 1 because we don't need it to be very detailed. Also, ensure if you have your subdivision, you want to turn it off. I mean, it's going to work with it, but just turn it off so it doesn't crash Blender. So we can connect it, and now we can scale this in. Okay, so we can scale this down. I think this is giving me, it's kind of messing with the radius. Let's see if we can um anyways, we don't have to deal with this. So I'm gonna set this to a very low value. Mm. And if we want more, we can increase it. So we get those nice fray. Oh, if you want to get randomized scaling, we do scale instance. And kind of same thing we did here. We can actually duplicate this. So we'll also need to control this. It can't be 0 for the minimum. So maybe around like 0.5. So that's how you can get this nice looking fray. For the body, for the main pitch 4, or I don't know if you call that 4, or for the 4, it's also quite easy to set up. So just in case you want to take screenshot, though this file will be available for download on our Discord. So but in case you want to take screenshot, this is it. It's pretty easy, straightforward. For the body, we want to do mesh to point. And if we preview it, we can see it's all points now. So all the vertices are being turned to points. So you can choose to do face, corners. So anything you want is at your beck and call. Okay, for these points are quite even, and it's not gonna work. So we want to randomize it. And the way to do that, we need to use, let's see if I do a random. Would that work? Well, no, did nothing. But yeah, match by distance. So we can use that to start deleting paths. So we kind of introduce randomness and use it to control how they are distributed. Probably not good for animation. I mean, yeah, I do have a more advanced setup, which I will probably not be sharing. But let's see if this video gets like 10,000 likes. uh, then I'll release this. This one will not. So you can actually use this for animation. If it gets 10,000 likes, then I'll put it out there. So when you get this random points, what we want to do now is to basically what we did here, but with a kind of variation slightly. We're also going to use mesh line. And let's grab that scale. So it's going to emit out the lines. So for the lines, currently it's not facing the right normals of the mesh, so we needed to do that. So that's also pretty straightforward. So we want to capture attribute, and we want to capture the normal. Okay, and we can get this align rotation, and we'll be using this normal for it, and we'll set it to Z, so we can see each point, each emitted line is facing the correct normal. Let's see if we don't capture this, will it still work? Nope. So we actually need to capture it. Okay, so I mean, that's kind of 80% of the job there is done. We can preview it. So if it's facing the wrong direction, you can just scale it out the other direction. We can use oh, um right. Oh, I'm just fucking playing with the radius. That's not what we should be playing with. This is what we should be playing with. Yeah, I was wondering. I was trying to control like the randomness and the distribution of it. So let's use words. I was just trying to control this. I was just adjusting the radius, and I was like, "Why is this not working?" Um, yeah. So now it's all a matter of kind of playing with things. So we can do the random rotation we did earlier again. So we'll grab this random, place it over here. So we kind of get that random. Does it feel random? Yeah, it's random enough. Um, it doesn't matter since we'll be using noise to kind of even make it more awesome. So we'll do mesh curve to mesh to curve, and then we'll realize instance, and let's bring in Blender's freeze. Kind of, I mean, we probably don't need this. This we'll just use this to displace it. Okay. We also need some subdivisions. So we really kind of mess things up. So you can choose to preserve the length. So we don't need it to like overshadow the effect. We just need it just slightly visible. Okay. And then we can go ahead and convert it into curves now. So like we did earlier. So we can scale this down. So we have it looking, it's nice. So that's how you kind of get those nice fluffy furs on it. We'll probably need to reduce it some more so it's barely visible. But you know something is making it look awesome. So if we try to render this now, we'll see all white. That's because we need to do the set material. We can just apply it here and just use the cloth fab at the end. So probably reduce the length so it's barely visible. Yeah, so that's it, guys. We've kind of gotten it. Can we use subdivision? Yeah, so with subdivision it looks even awesome. So I'm also going to be providing the final result on the Discord so you guys can check it out. Okay, so here's our result. Hopefully YouTube compression doesn't mess it up. Well, you can see it's there. Um, like this looks like really nice. With higher res, we can even get it. So now you can just keep polishing till you're happy with the result. Maybe add some more unevenness here. Well, I'm happy to leave it here with you guys and send you out to the world to multiply. That's it for this video. I hope it was informative. Also, we just reached 30,000. That's really it feels really good to me, nice to me that we're able to get to that point. I know I've not been like really dedicated to it due to a lot of things going on, positive things, which I'm grateful for. Kind of working in the industry now using Blender, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, like this video, subscribe if you want to see more from me. I'm gonna definitely be putting out more of this type of contents in the future. So I will try at least once every week to put out like well researched and well thought of videos to kind of share with you guys. Everything, like I said, will be available for download on the Discord chat. So bye bye for now. See you guys next time.